Welcome back, America, to Sound Retirement Radio, where we bring you concepts, ideas, and strategies designed to help you achieve clarity, confidence, and freedom as you prepare for and transition through retirement. And now, here is your host, Jason Parker.
America, welcome back to another round of Sound Retirement Radio. So glad to have you tuning into this show. I can't wait to get into it. I think you're going to love this episode. The title is number 382, How Much Money is Enough to Retire? Key word here is enough. And I like to get the day started right two ways. The first one is with a verse. This is Ecclesiastes 5:10. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. And then, of course, do you know why bees have sticky hair? Because they use a honeycomb. In today's show, I want to explore the question, how much money is enough to retire? We're going to look at this question a couple of different ways from a couple of different angles. Most importantly, I want to help you answer the question, have you saved enough money to retire? If you want to take a closer look at anything discussed in today's show, visit soundretirementplanning.com and click on episode number 382 for articles, links, and resources mentioned in today's show. Let me start out by asking a ridiculous question. Is $650 million enough? At the age of 53, a well-known actor had amassed $650 million in earnings. His story is pretty remarkable. According to Wikipedia, he dropped out of high school at age 16 to pursue his dream of becoming a rock and roll musician. After moving from Florida to Los Angeles with his band to pursue his dream, he married the sister of the band's bassist. Interestingly, she worked as a makeup artist in Los Angeles, and she introduced him to actor Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage encouraged him to consider acting rather than music, and then introduced him to the movie director Wes Craven, who gave him his first acting role in the movie Nightmare on Elm Street. After his big break, he continued acting, and some of his early movies were Private Resort, Thrashin', and Platoon. But it was the TV role on 21 Jump Street that really made him a teenage heartthrob in the 1980s. Some of his starring roles have been in the movies Chocolat, Edward Scissorhands, and today many people know of his starring role as the pirate Captain Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Of course, there's been a lot of media attention recently due to the lawsuit with his former wife, but I have to tell you, I did not follow that story at all. The reason that I wanted to share a little bit of the story about Johnny Depp is that I remember reading articles from 2017 that said he had earned more than $650 million. But the article from Vanity Fair said that he was strapped for cash and had filed a lawsuit against his business managers. The business managers pushed back and filed a countersuit that claimed that Johnny Depp was spending $2 million per month and was personally responsible for the mismanagement of his financial affairs. It's reported that Johnny Depp spent money to buy an island, a yacht. Vanity Fair said he was spending $30,000 per month on wine, and that he spent $5 million for a memorial service for his friend and journalist Hunter S. Thompson, which included blasting his ashes from a custom-built cannon. Most of us hear that story and ask, how can you make $650 million and be strapped for cash and have money troubles? The question we all have to ask is, how much money is enough? Will you ever have enough? Now, what I'm about to tell you next might surprise you. I recently posted a video on YouTube and Facebook, and I asked the question, is $1.4 million enough to retire? Some of the responses to that post were really surprising. Some people responded with sarcasm and others with anger, as if it was a stupid question. One person quipped, "How can you have saved over $1 million and not know if it's enough?" According to an article in MarketWatch, Fidelity Investments, who is a huge custodian of 401k accounts, said that as of 2021, more than 412,000 401k accounts were valued at more than $1 million, and 341,600 IRA holders had more than $1 million. According to CNBC, 8% of adults in America are millionaires. After the first half of 2022, I'm sure a lot of those millionaires no longer have as much as they did. The stock market's had a pretty rough start, to say the least. Now, I know it sounds ridiculous to compare Johnny Depp's $650 million to the 8% of Americans who are millionaires, but the reality is that the people who don't have this much money look at the American millionaires the way that many millionaires look at Johnny Depp, and they ask the question, how can you have $1 million saved for retirement and not know that it's enough? Well, there's no one universal number that everyone can use to know if you have saved enough, because having enough to retire is more of a function of your spending and your income than it is your savings. Now, I've met with people who have saved a few $100,000 for retirement, and combined with their guaranteed income, they have more than enough to retire very comfortably. I've also met with people who have saved millions of dollars and will likely run out of money in retirement because they spend like a Disney pirate. Having enough has everything to do with your spending, and that's the reason the retirement budget calculator is so counterculture and so much different than every other retirement calculator that exists out there today. So much of society wants to focus on how much they've saved and then attempt to figure out how much of the nest egg they can spend. But if you want to do this in a way that produces the greatest confidence, then the better thing to do is to understand how much you spend, which will then help you know if you have saved enough. I want to tell you about a very overlooked way of crunching your retirement numbers in just a minute. But first, I want to share with you a few quotes about the idea of enough money. My friend Steve likes to say, the luxuries of today become the necessities of tomorrow. Ayn Rand says, money is only a tool, and it will take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. Tennessee Williams says, you can be young without money, but you can't be old without it. Seneca says, enough is better than too much. Too much ruins us. More than enough is poisonous. Jane Austen says, if I had a little more, I should be very tempted to give it all away. George Horace Lorimer says, it's good to have money and the things that money can buy, but it's good, too, to check up once in a while and make sure that you haven't lost the things that money can't buy. John Rockefeller says, there is no disgrace in not having money. The disgrace is in having it and doing nothing with it. And then Ralph Waldo Emerson says, money often costs too much. So how do you know if you have enough money to retire? In the retirement budget calculator, one of the first things you're going to do is create a detailed spending plan. And with each expense, you can mark the expense as either essential or discretionary. Essential expense means that you need the money to live. Discretionary means that it's something you want to buy, but don't necessarily need. Some people call this your needs versus your wants. Maybe another way to think of this is your essential expense is how much money you need to survive, whereas the discretionary is how much you want to be able to thrive. So I guess we could call them your survive or thrive numbers. The bottom line is the bottom line. At the end of the day, answering the question of whether or not you have saved enough to retire is a function of your spending. Is enough the amount that you need to make it to age 100 without running out of money in survival mode? Or is enough for you the amount that you need to have saved so that you can live your wildest dreams, fulfilling every of your financial desires? Once you understand the difference between your essential and discretionary expenses, the calculator will show you the answer to the question, have I saved enough to retire? What's even better is that you can run the numbers both ways. You can see if you have saved enough based on your essential expenses, or you can see if you've saved enough based on all of your expenses, including your discretionary expenses. Retirement doesn't need to be a mystery. It doesn't need to be fraught with anxiety. For those of you who are not yet using the calculator, the next step in this formula, after you know all of your essential versus discretionary expenses, is to figure out how much guaranteed income you'll have in retirement. We consider guaranteed income to primarily be Social Security, pension, and annuity income. But if you also have stable rental income, we could include that number as an income number as well. Let's say you determine that you're only going to have Social Security income and it will be $2,000 per month. So you're going to have $24,000 a year of Social Security income. And then let's say that after going through the spending exercise, you recognize that your essential expenses require $60,000 per year. But your Thrive number, to be able to do everything you want in retirement, would be more like $100,000 per year. The difference between your Social Security income and your essential expenses is $36,000. Remember, you're going to have $24,000 a year of Social Security. Your essential expenses require $60,000. So if we take that $36,000 that you will need to withdraw from your portfolio, and assuming a 4% withdrawal rate in a 60-40 stock bond portfolio, you would want to take and multiply that number, which is your portfolio withdrawals. So you want to take and multiply your portfolio withdrawals of $36,000 per year by 25, which is $900,000. This is the number that you would have to have saved to ensure that you can cover your essential expenses and assuming that your retirement won't last more than 30 years. $900,000 would be your survive retirement number in this scenario. Now let's do the same thing for your thrive retirement number. In this case, the difference between your Social Security and all your expenses is $76,000. Remember, you had $24,000 of Social Security. Your thrive number was you wanted to spend $100,000 a year, so that's $76,000 is the difference. If we now multiply 76,000 by 25, it tells us that you would need to have saved 1.9 million to have enough to meet your thrive number. These are just rules of thumb, which are valuable, but it's not as valuable as having an actual plan that you're working from and making adjustments to each year as you get closer to retirement and as your circumstances change as you make the transition into and through retirement. But they do give you a place to start and to provide some clarity on what it will take for you to have the retirement of your dreams. In summary, having enough money for retirement is a function of your spending. And essential expenses are those that you need to live, while discretionary expenses are something that you want but don't necessarily need. To get a better understanding of how much money you need to retire, try using the retirement budget calculator and create a budget and mark your expenses as either essential or discretionary. The calculator will do all of the other formulas to help you know if you're on the right track or if you've already crossed the finish line to being able to retire with confidence.
Information and opinions expressed here are believed to be accurate and complete, for general information only, and should not be construed as specific tax, legal, or financial advice for any individual, and does not constitute a solicitation for any securities or insurance products. Please consult with your financial professional before taking action on anything discussed in this program. Parker Financial, its representatives, or its affiliates have no liability for investment decisions or other actions taken or made by you based on the information provided in this program. All insurance-related discussions are subject to the claims-paying ability of the company. Investing involves risk. Jason Parker is the president of Parker Financial, an independent fee-based wealth management firm located at 9057 Washington Avenue Northwest, Silverdale, Washington. For additional information, call 1-800-514-5046 or visit us online at soundretirementplanning.com.